Hey, so I think this is working. So Wirecast is really weird. There's like uh it you make an event as I just did to share this Alex Jones live stream, and it automatically streams on the stream live page on the YouTube channel, and I don't know. It's really weird, and I see myself now, so I think it's all good. All right. So the reason I'm shooting this right now for patrons only is because there is a massive storm, and the power already went out once, and it might go out again. And so if the power goes out in the middle of this, I don't necessarily want to post this, but hopefully that doesn't happen, and it should be live for anyone who's not a patron right afterwards. But if you are a patron, this is a little bonus. So what am I going to talk about? Well, Alex Jones just got pulled from YouTube. So this is the state of events that happened. Facebook removed 4 pages associated with InfoWars. Then Apple removed Alex Jones InfoWars podcast from iTunes. Then Spotify removed all Alex Jones episodes. And now Alex Jones InfoWars channel got banned on YouTube. So there is a lot of opinions on this topic right now, as I am seeing on Twitter as people are replying to me. And I think it's sort of, I don't know. There are people that have formed their opinions, and they do it often on principle. And right now, I think there's a lot of nuance to this. So I'm not really on any side yet. I am leaning to one side, but I think there are fair arguments to be made on both sides of this issue. So you may be thinking, what's the problem? Well, so most people, I would say, from what I've seen that are on the left, are happy that Alex Jones is being banned from all these channels. But there are some outliers who are a little more absolutist in their view of free speech. So one of those people is Kyle Kalinske, who I had a back and forth with on Twitter in just a friendly debate on how we sort of view this issue. So let me first show you the tweet that I put out here. Lefties defending Alex Jones right now. I hear you. On the surface, it appears to set bad precedent to give massive corporations control over who's silenced. But if you aren't performing hate speech, libel, or slander on a regular basis, then I don't know what you're worried about. And then Kyle responded with this. You can tag me. You act as if the people making the decisions to censor and deplatform people like Mark Zuckerberg are apolitical, objective observers. They're Silicon Valley billionaires, and they don't share your sensibilities. They're responding to establishment pressure. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole back and forth there, but he's not wrong. So totally the establishment is, or the Silicon Valley is bowing to establishment pressure to have Alex Jones off of these platforms. At the same time, just because they're giving it to that pressure, I don't think necessarily means it's wrong. And it also doesn't necessarily mean it's going to extend even farther. So the argument that a lot of people are making is the slippery slope argument. So if they ban Alex Jones, then who's to say they won't ban Kyle Kalinske or Jimmy Dore or, I don't know, other left-wing networks? I think it's a flawed argument, and I don't think I was great at making the case through Twitter, but the more I think about this, I mean, on YouTube, you already can't be, a Nazi. So there is a standard that is set. There is a terms of service. So first of all, I mean, there's so much to this debate. Let me try and first get the basic crap out of the way. Is this legal? Can YouTube do this? Of course. YouTube is a private company, or Google is a private company. They can ban whoever they want, and they are well within their right to do so. So legality-wise, nothing's wrong with that. The free speech argument deals with the government infringing on your free speech. So let's say if Trump, which would never happen, but let's say Trump is throwing Alex Jones in jail for spreading positive information about him. Okay, it's a bad example. Let's say Hillary Clinton's president, and she's throwing Alex Jones in jail for this speech. Yeah, that would be wrong. That would be illegal. But in terms of a private company doing it, they're well within their right to do so. So, and nobody's really arguing, nobody legitimate is arguing against that. Obviously, people like Kyle Klinsky recognize that this is legal for them to do. But where the argument falls into from the left is, well, what if it goes farther? And my response to that is, well, if it goes farther, then you fight it. So, like I said, they already banned certain types of speech, like just outright Nazis. You can't just be a Nazi on YouTube. But has that led to a slippery slope? No, unless you count Alex Jones as part of that slippery slope. But Alex Jones, so I think there's a reason why this is happening now to Alex Jones. And let me pull up this tweet from Peter Norway if I can pick the right one out of these screenshots. Here we go. So here's what he put up, and I think he's Peter Norway, classical liberal with a 3 on Twitter, is one of the great voices that I like to follow on Twitter and see what he's saying about various topics, because he tends to have a really nuanced and well-formed argument. So here's what he tweeted out. I don't know why YouTube decided to terminate the Alex Jones channel now, but I suspect it's influenced by the ongoing lawsuit against Alex Jones, where Sandy Hook parents have told stories about not being able to visit their son's grave because of InfoWars fans stalking them. So that's where I come from. When you are clearly putting out lies, like Alex Jones has done with Sandy Hook and just countless other topics, and even recently threatened Mueller. Now, whatever you think of Mueller, you shouldn't be threatening anybody. But regardless, when you are blatantly making shit up and it's affecting the lives of real people that don't have power, then you have to start to question what is the outcome here. So if you allow Alex Jones to continue doing this, you are essentially incentivizing people to be whack jobs on YouTube. You're incentivizing targeted harassment. I don't think that's a good precedent. So people say there's a slippery slope to silencing people on the left, for example. Well, there's also a slippery slope to allowing more and more insanity on YouTube. That could lead to worse results. That could lead to deaths. That could lead to shit that happened with like Pizzagate. Like this is why this whole topic it's not clear cut. It's really easy to say I defend all free speech unless you are breaking the law, unless you are directly threatening somebody. But you can't just ignore the kind of effect that somebody like Alex Jones has on a population of people. So right now, it has gotten to the point where he is being sued for defamation. Now, I think a good precedent, and I put this on Twitter, is if the Sandy Hook parents win that lawsuit, and it turns out that, yes, Alex Jones did defame these families and led to targeted harassment, you have a precedent there. So this isn't just, we aren't just espousing, this isn't just a battle of ideas. So there is some Twitter users that are coming back acting like, oh, well, you're just silencing conservative ideas. No, that's not what this is about. I'm not for, shutting down Ben Shapiro's YouTube channel. This is about Alex Jones harassing people, inciting people to harass people, making shit up, blatantly making shit up. Obvious lies that unfortunately have the effect on some weak-minded individuals to act on them, to act on what Alex Jones is saying. Now, you can't police all of that, obviously, but you can definitely cut down on the amount of times something like this happens. So, while I understand the argument of the slippery slope, and especially, allowing corporations to choose what's good and what's not, so far they haven't crossed the line. When they cross the line, or if they cross the line, then we fight back on that. To defend Alex Jones because of what might happen in the future, I don't think makes a whole lot of sense. At the same time, I get the argument, because if it does lead to a slippery slope and they do start banning people like Jimmy Dore, that's a problem. So it's just not, I don't know, it's not open and shut. It's not obvious. And by the way, I'm seeing some comments in the chat. I will respond to these afterwards. But let me share some more tweets here, just to kind of get more. I feel like I'm missing a whole ton of this argument just because there's oddly a lot to it, and I want to make sure I hit on all the points I want to hit on. Let me share this. I'm not sure what's coming up, but let's see what it is. Jeffrey Matt. Okay, so this is somebody who I think does not agree with me. It's called establishing a precedent. You are like Obama in negotiation. Have veto-proof House and Senate, and don't even get a public option. You just gave a thumbs up to tech companies silencing free speech. What happens when they decide your speech goes against their narrative? Okay, so I already kind of addressed that. This is just a flawed argument. There is nuance here. You can say you could say Nazis shouldn't be allowed on Facebook or on YouTube and Facebook, but you could say Nazis shouldn't be on streaming videos on YouTube, and then you could also extend that to people like Alex Jones who are blatantly lying about shit that are causing other people who have no power to then be affected by the harassment of his followers. You can say that also is not good, and also police that, without assuming that it's now going to come for everybody else. And even if it does, then you fight back on that. You fight back when that happens. You make your case then. So I think it's fine to make the case now and say, while I support the banning of this Alex Jones channel, I'm also worried about where it might go. That's sort of where I'm at. I'm not against what YouTube has done, but I'm also at the same time worried that it may go farther. And at that point is when you fight back and make your case. There was something else I wanted to mention there. I'm forgetting what it was. Hopefully it comes back. Let's see what this tweet is. So from Clem Media. Dude, they're going to go after anti-establishment progressives like Jimmy Dore next. CNN wanted to censor him after he exposed their fake news on Syria. I'm more libertarian on the issue, but this precedent won't stop Alex Jones. So this, I think, is maybe a better argument. And Kyle also made this argument, that this will actually, banning Alex Jones from YouTube can actually have the adverse effect of empowering him and make him seem like, oh, what's Alex Jones saying? They're censoring Alex Jones. So now it's sort of like his speech is now more precious, more rarefied. So it almost brings more eyeballs to what he's going to say because he's not allowed in typical establishment areas. That, in my opinion, is the best argument against not doing this, is it makes Alex Jones seem more interesting than he actually is. So if you want to make that case, I think it's a good case to make. And that's why I'm torn on this issue, because I don't think this doesn't necessarily have the benefit that you might think banning Alex Jones would have. Because just because you ban him doesn't mean he's gone. He's still allowed on Twitter. He's still streaming on Periscope. He still has his avenues. He still has a website. So he can still put shit out there. But I think what it does do is it cuts down on his audience. It cuts down on the potential for him to have a massive influence on more people. So while it may in one sense make him seem like, a precious item now that he's banned from these networks, it also cuts his audience down. And I think you can't argue against that point, that it definitely does cut his audience, which I think is a good thing. And not because I'm scared of his ideas, but because I'm scared of how what he says, the shit he makes up, has an effect on weak-minded individuals, as we've already seen with the harassment of the Sandy Hook parents and other shit that he's done. So that's what I'm worried about. And when you allow that sort of speech on YouTube, then, as I said before, you incentivize it. You allow it, you give more of a reason for other people to come in and be just like Alex Jones and start spewing bullshit and getting a following. Because, unfortunately, the crazier the conspiracy theory, the more interesting that person is to a lot of people. Let me see what else I saved here in tweets. I posted that one. That's the same one. This one. So this, I have to confess this is my girlfriend. So, but she made a good point, and that's why I'm sharing it. So she said, I'm a free speech advocate. Jones should be able to spew his conspiracies to anyone, but this, to his demise, is the free market working on their own terms, something he's a staunch advocate for. This is a great point. Alex Jones and these right-wingers, if they're going to talk about the free market, this is the free market at work. This is the free market deciding that Alex Jones should not be on our platform. So, what side are you on? Do you think that the free market is fantastic, or do you want control over what private companies decide to do? So, I come at this from the view of, let's look at it case by case. If something is harmful to a majority of people, then why do we allow it? Why not police that? And I get it, the slippery slope argument, or who's deciding that? Who gets to decide who gets deplatformed and who not? I totally understand that. But that's why we get to have these conversations around these different events. So if you are, I don't know, if you're one of the people that have been affected by Alex Jones or infected by Alex Jones, I would say that him not being around, his channel not being so accessible, would have benefited your mind. You maybe would not have come across some crazy conspiracy theory that has now led you down a path to believe Pizzagate or believe the Sandy Hook deaths or the victims around that were crisis actors. So that's the issue here. Unfortunately, we live in a society where there are a lot of weak-minded people. And that's not to say you can police everything and always protect everybody. But you can cut down on the amount of bullshit that gets spewed. And that's why, I fight against shit like CNN and MSNBC when they spew their bullshit. So there's a case to be made that less of this bullshit leads to a better society. And let me actually read a quote here from, so this is Canadian law. And maybe it's why I have a slightly different perspective on this than Americans do. But this is what Canada prohibits. Any news that the licensee knows is false or misleading and that endangers or is likely to endanger the lives, health, or safety of the public. So if you act like you are a news source, you can't knowingly misinform people that may endanger others. Now I know it's kind of vague, but it is something, and it has restricted the amounts of the kinds of Alex Jones characters that we don't really have in Canada. Then again, as I'm saying that, I'm reminded of Rebel Media, which, as far as I know, is based in Canada, but it's not to the extreme that Alex Jones is. So we are a little more strict in what we allow in news, at least in broadcast. So this may only apply to broadcast, which may explain Rebel Media, but generally, historically, Canada has been more strict in terms of what we allow news to print, because of we don't want to end up in a situation where you have Fox News dominating the airwaves. We don't have a Fox News in Canada, and it's, I think, largely because of these sorts of laws, these sorts of restrictions on what the news can actually tell you. What else do I got here? Just going through my notes because I wrote a lot when this was happening, trying to figure out, because this is one of those issues where, as I said, I don't even know where I fall on, because there are side effects to this, potential side effects to this, and it is an area where, because it should be nuanced, I think it's not black and white. So I think I may have already said this, but the way I viewed this is, if the the defamation suit against Alex Jones is successful, then I think there's a case to be made that, yes, these channels, these Alex Jones channels, these InfoWars channels, should be taken down because he has broken the law. So I think that's a good precedent. Let me see what the chat's saying. I think I hit all the points I wanted to hit. Yeah, let me see what the chat's doing. All right, got a few comments in here from patrons. Let me check it out. Joe Mihalik, I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. My only problem with this is that Jones has been doing shit for years. Why not ban him after his Sandy Hook conspiracies? Okay, so I addressed this. I think it's because of the defamation lawsuits. Because of the information coming out now about how these parents, how they've been harassed by Alex Jones followers. And, I mean, you can try and act like... Actually, you can't. This was all created by Alex Jones. This whole conspiracy. This was, at the very least, it was popularized by Alex Jones. And that's why the Sandy Hook parents are being harassed. So the way I try to view every issue is who has the power, who doesn't have the power. Now, some will look at this issue and say, well, the corporations have the power, and they are banning Alex Jones. I look at this and I see Alex Jones has the power over the Sandy Hook parents, or over anybody else that he's attacking. So that's where I view the power battle here. Now, yes, there's also a power battle between the corporations and the channels on YouTube. But when you actually look at the effects of what Alex Jones has done to people, that is the main issue right now. That's the issue at hand. As I said, if it gets to a point where YouTube crosses the line and starts banning channels that they just don't agree with, then that's when you speak out and fight back. But right now, that isn't the issue. Right now, the issue is the effect that Alex Jones has had on innocent people. Next comment here from Brian Gonzalez. I'm kind of split between you and Kyle. I see Kyle's argument that it gives too much power to tech companies, and also your argument that Alex Jones is too much of a danger. Sandy Hook. Yep, pretty much. That's why I'm also between the arguments. I'm between our two arguments too, because I think Kyle makes good points. This is from Gemini02. I think the fact that this is an election year plays into the timing. I don't really see that. You can maybe make that case, but I don't think that's the case. I think it really has to do with this lawsuit that's happening right now on Alex Jones. From Brian Autry. Yeah, I'm about where you are on this issue as well. Honestly, I've always appreciated your ability to see both sides of an argument and hear people out. It's something I like to do in my life too. Cool. Thank you. Yeah, that's why... I mean, people might hate me because of it, because I can seem indecisive. But the reality is, life is very nuanced. So for me to be so very decisive on every issue wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, there are some issues like, Medicare for all, I think just makes sense to be decisive on. I think we've already seen that universal health care is the way to go. So there are certain issues where, all the data points in one direction, and you could say, yeah, universal health care, Medicare for all should be a thing in the US. But then there are issues like this, and it's often free speech issues, where I think it's just more nuanced, and it takes a lot more debate and argument to really figure out where this all goes and who's right and who's wrong. And ultimately here, I don't think there is a right and wrong yet, because a lot of it is a guessing game. The argument from one side is, well, where might this go? And because you don't know the answer to that, it's hard to really make a defining argument just based on that. Now, there are more arguments as well, but I mean, it's just, I don't know. Like, people keep talking about the slippery slope to banning progressive YouTube shows. I think about the slippery slope to incentivizing right-wing YouTube channels to make shit up and ruin people's lives. So there's a slippery slope in both directions. And you can't just ignore one in favor of the other, which is why I'm torn on this issue, because there is a slippery slope in both directions. All right. I've been going for a while here. I think I got everything I wanted to touch on. Every time I finish one of these videos, it's like, oh, I should have mentioned that. completely forgot. Sorry, I'm just going to quickly read some of this. Yeah. I think I hit it. I think I hit everything I wanted to hit. Okay, let me check the comments one more time. I think there's more. There is more. From Brian Autry again. I think what he means by the election year playing into it is trying to get certain fake news outlets out of the way before they can potentially do more damage, like what they assume happened in 2016. Yeah, maybe. I just think if that was the case, then why not ban him after the election? Why wait till now? I think this is more. I think this more has to do with the lawsuit. The simple fact that Alex Jones keeps doing this. He keeps breaking their terms of service. Now, it's how much can these companies really defend somebody? So the actual wording they use is Alex Jones has repeated violations of the company's hate speech harassment guidelines. Hate speech and harassment guidelines. So, look, I know hate speech, people don't love that term because it's very vague and it's whatever. But harassment, I mean, he just makes shit up, and it does lead to people's lives being affected. People that have no power. The parents of victims of shootings. So, and Alex Jones himself is now arguing in court that he shouldn't be taken seriously. So this is the kind of thing that this Canadian law is supposed to prohibit against. So if you are coming out and advocating or saying that, yeah, the news that I am saying is fake, people should not believe me when I'm talking, then you would be breaking the law in Canada, because you're admitting to lying to people and pretending it's news. So why should we platform somebody, allow somebody to continue speaking and infect weak people's minds when they themselves are saying they are lying to people? This is a very unique case. In my opinion, this is not, people keep saying slippery slope. Alex Jones is in a category all his own. Alex Jones is in the Alex Jones category. And to me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to say slippery slope when Jimmy Dore, Kyle Kulinski, or Ben Shapiro, these people are nowhere near Alex Jones. Alex Jones makes shit up and has admitted to making shit up. That is a unique case, in my opinion. And maybe that's why this is happening now, because Alex Jones is admitting that he just makes shit up. He shouldn't be taken seriously. So, I don't know. That's what I think, but at the same time, because I'm a nuanced person, my mind changes. And if I hear a good argument from the other side, I may change how I feel. But like I said at the beginning of this, I'm still sort of in the middle of this issue, but I am leaning towards deplatforming Alex Jones is a good thing. All right. I think that's it. All right. Thank you all for watching, and patrons for watching. This will be up for everyone else as soon as I'm done this. I just want to make sure the power doesn't go out, because there was a crazy storm and the power went out while I was working earlier, and it was not good. But everything seems to be good now, and thank you all for watching. Goodbye.